Welcome to Hashtag with Nabuguzi Kiwanuka. This is the place where we help you unravel social constructs, discuss self-development in line with mental health, and everything in between that directly or indirectly affects us in the millennial world around us. If you're hearing my voice for the first time and are the kind of person who is not scared of being a better version of yourself, even if it requires you to contradict who you were 24 hours ago, consider this your virtual home. I am your host, Nabuguzi Kiwanuka, a lawyer, founder, team lead of Equate Foundation, an addict and lover of insightful conversations, and a professional unraveler of social constructs. On today's episode, I have my friend Okello Herbert Andrew, a.k.a. Oha. He is a lawyer and a creative writer. Oha is the founder of Untold Stories Uganda, a digital social platform that offers a glimpse into the experiences and lives of ordinary people in Uganda, and they do this through photography and storytelling. The genesis of his love for storytelling, how and why he started the digital platform are all on this episode. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
Yes.
Welcome to Hashtag with Nabuguzi Kiwanuka.
Thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
You have to apologize for tossing me around.
I'm terribly sorry. I got caught up. We're in the middle of a raging pandemic, but I'm happy. I'm happy that I'm here.
Yeah. So tell us who Oha is. I'm actually calling you Oha. Yeah, but just tell us who Oha is. Someone needs to understand who Oha is.
Most friends call me Oha. Those are just initials that stand for Okello Herbert Andrew.
Right.
I was named Okello Albert at birth.
Albert?
Yes, Albert.
Okay.
But then I had a friend in nursery school who was named Herbert, and we were really close.
And then?
We used to walk from school together. We used to eat together.
How old was that?
I was in nursery. I must have been 5.
Yeah.
So I go back home and I tell Mama, I don't like the Albert name. Was I named after a lake?
Hoima. Right.
I tell her I'm changing my name to Herbert, and she wasn't bothered.
Changing my name.
Yeah, to Herbert, and she wasn't.
At that early age.
Yeah, she wasn't bothered. She wasn't moved by it. I mean, she
So
imagined life is short, so she let me be.
And then she just switched to calling you Herbert?
Yeah. They were not calling me Herbert at home, so I think it helped because I was the only boy, and naturally my name was Boy. Yeah, so they I grabbed being called Boy.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and I come from the Choli tribe. It's a subset of the Luo community.
Yeah.
And among the Choli.
How many? By the way, I get confused. I'm like, so who is the Luo? Am I about to call all Northerners Luo?
No, it's
Which tribes form the Luo? The ones that we know.
We have numerous tribes. We have
in Uganda.
In Uganda, we have the Alur in West Nile. We have the Acholi. We have the Japadola in eastern Uganda.
Yeah.
We have the speakers of Leplau in Lira.
Leplau.
Leplau.
I thought Lira, those are Langi.
I don't think
I've never even heard of Leplau.
Leblanc is what you call language.
Hey.
Leb means language, right? Yeah, we have those and
Okay.
So these are all Luo speakers, and then we have people down in Kenya. We have Luo speakers in Ethiopia.
The artists don't form part of it.
They're not Luo speakers. So these are all dialects, really, right? And it's just like a nation. We're spread all over. We have Acholis from South Sudan. Yeah, I mean that's our birthplace. El Gazelle. Yeah. So for us, it's
when had I last heard that word?
So for us, a kid is not just named. Names are special things, right? When a kid is born, they're going to look at the circumstances of their birth before they name them. And for me, the name Okello translates to he has brought, right? So
he has brought,
yeah,
is that God?
A spirit, essentially. So you're only named Okello. We call them Lutiano Jock, children of the spirits, right? So we are considered spirits. So if you born after, say, a special birth, say a birth of twins, or a physically handicapped person, you're going to be named Okello, because such kids are considered spirits because of the unique circumstances of their birth. Now, I wasn't born after twins.
Yeah.
But then the circumstances of my sister is unique. The birth circumstance of my sister was unique because I think the amniotic sac was filled with a lot of water.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So she was named Lakwat. Lakwat means of the rains. So Lakwat her birth was special, and so the kid that comes after Lakwat naturally is named Okello. Had it been a girl, she would have been Okello. And now the kid that comes after me, they ought to be named Odong, or Adong for a girl. Now Odong means the remnant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's just rules. They're always rules. So
because you only have those rules. I think the only rules we have in the Ganda when it comes to naming is when it comes to the twins.
Yeah, I think that applies in Bunyoro too.
Because we have the Waswa and Waswa Kato, then Babili and Nakato. The one that comes after is supposed to be a Chiza.
Now in Bunyoro, I think,
and then after Chiza, I remember when we were in primary 2, we were learning those things. I don't know who comes. I think the one who comes after Chiza is Chigongo, and after Chigongo is it Chitoke. Like it keeps going down like that.
And are they equally considered spirits or gods?
Well, I didn't get into the study of that. I mean, well, P2, they can't give us so much information.
Okay, because I was raised in Bunyoro, so and the rules seem to apply in Bunyoro too. I guess it's a Bantu thing, right? So the kid that comes after twins is named Kiza, which is the same name, really. Yeah, it's the same name.
Yeah.
And like Kiza, I knew was called, his other name was Nyakavandwa. In other words, child of gods. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you just can't avoid it. It's everywhere.
So, okay.
We're in link with our ancestors.
All right. So with all that, with your name Oha is not. It's not just to a few people. I'm seeing your mini celebrity somewhere,
Yes,
I mean, on your birthday, my timeline was full of watermelons everywhere.
I just have a few
like,
terrorists for friends.
You don't just bombard my timeline. There has to be something else. It can't be watermelons all the time. Tell us about what you do. What does Oha do?
What do I do?
How spread are you?
I don't think that's a little bit too general. I could say I'm just living.
You're just living.
I'm just surviving. But professionally, I'm a trained lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do volunteer time with a legal aid clinic. So I could say I'm a legal aid practitioner. Yes. What I do specifically is that I offer mediation services. Yeah, to indigents. Yeah. So that's what I do professionally. But I'm able to, of course, offer legal advice too. But for now, of course, the economy is tight, and the only people you're going to offer legal advice to are relations you've not heard from for a while. Yeah. They'll pay you with prayers and good wishes.
And then Untold Stories Uganda.
Untold Stories Uganda. Oh, that's part of what I find immense pleasure in doing. Yeah, it's
help us understand Usu.
Untold Stories Uganda.
Oh yeah, right. And help us understand Untold Stories
I
Uganda.
can't help myself. So USU it's a digital humanitarian advocacy platform
Yeah.
that employs photography and storytelling to convey experiences of ordinary Ugandan, the people in Uganda. We've had a few stories of subjects from Kenya and Rwanda, but yeah, the focus is Uganda. Yeah, because we are here. Also started the first story went up, I think the 26th of October 2016.
You remember the date?
Yeah, I do. I'm not so sure, but I guess, but I'm certain it was October.
Yeah,
2016, and we've been writing since and sharing stories since. Apart from that period when we took a bit of a break to heal. Yeah, we find the people with future are ordinary people. We talk to the border rider, the taxi driver, the taxi rider, the maize seller, the farmer, the teacher, the priest. Ordinary people.
Yeah.
That's our focus. We I think at USU we try to give the ordinary man and woman a voice, and that is why we focus on the ordinary man, so we can give them a voice on the digital space.
Yeah.
We focus on, I don't want to say that our stories are sad, the stories we share, but they are. I don't think they're exactly sad. I think they are stories of struggle. We focus on people's struggles, and each and every one of us has struggles.
Right.
For me, I think that is one uniting line that cuts across the fact that we struggle with something. We struggle with self-belief. We struggle with physical need. We struggle with spiritual need, psychological needs. So I focus on the struggles, but I try not to complete the story focusing on the struggle. And at the end of the story, I hope, or before I share the story, I hope that in one way or another, the subjects are able to overcome their struggles. And for some do, others don't, but at least they are able to find compassion, they're able to find understanding, and I think that lessens their burden.
There's that thing that they usually say, is it when you talk about a problem, it's half solved? How is that Proverbs? What is that proverb?
A problem shared is a problem half solved. And for me, I think when people share the vulnerable sides with my community, with the USU community, with the USU community, they find people that can relate. They can relate with. They find compassion. They find love. They find understanding. And for me, I think that is what we want in this social media age of vanity. I think we need a bit of reflection. I think we need a bit of vulnerability. Most of the people on social media share the positive bits of their lives
only. Oh man.
And then this can cause a bit of tension and a bit of self-doubt, But when you occasionally inject in a dose of vulnerability, it helps people reflect.
It does. And you talked about that part of people being people relating to the stories. That builds more community. It's actually more realistic.
I think the very fabric of human existence is premised on our social strength. So people want to feel like they belong, and they want to feel like the troubles or struggles they have gone through, another person has, and that person has overcome the same. And when you share their stories, they're able to find their tribe, and they're able to connect and heal.
So how do you find these people?
how do I find these people? A great deal of the people I feature on Untold
so many
Stories.
years, man. And you
Yeah,
keep finding.
I met about 300 new faces.
Wow.
So these are people I meet on the street.
Randomly, you
Randomly
just stop.
on the
Do you
street.
just stop someone at, hey, can I?
Not precisely. I've done that a few times. Say if it's like a university, it's going to be easy. You're going to approach someone and tell them what you do, and if they have some time, they listen to you, and it doesn't take too long. Chatting up people is easy because the fact is that people love to talk about themselves, and all you have to do is ask questions, and they'll talk.
Yeah.
So when you show interest in people open up to you, and before they know it, they actually are laying bare their struggles. Because one of the first questions I ask people after breaking ice is, what are you struggling with? And it helps people reflect.
Yeah.
And it helps people think a bit, and they share. But I equally find people at parties. I find subjects at church. I find subjects
I think
at
you
playgrounds.
and I are terrible people to be at parties.
Yeah, I'm just going to be a hunter for a subject.
I always have, for me to really enjoy a party, there has to be someone to have a conversation with.
Yeah, precisely. I need to find someone to talk to. And
While every other person is dancing to music, you're going to find me in the corner talking to someone.
Yeah, a new face.
Goodness.
Listening to them, just having a whole candid conversation.
Yeah.
And for me, that is what I look out for.
Yeah.
Candid conversations.
Candid conversations. Yeah. Don't people find you strange? Especially on the street?
I think it's really down to approach. Because if I approached you from behind, I would startle you. But then if I do approach you from the front and I'm smiling, and you feel at ease because I'm smiling.
Are you serious?
You don't feel.
I find it awkward. Like, why is this person smiling at me? Especially if I don't know you.
I'm going to walk to you and smile. Of course, for the ladies, it may be a bit strange, but if I walk to you and I'm genuinely interested in asking a few questions, people will speak. People do speak. I think I've been turned down maybe 5 times. Yeah, most of the time people say yes. And for me, it's going to be easy to pick someone to talk to. For instance, if it's a pitch, or if it's a university, I'm going to go and speak to the person that is seated on a public bench. Because then it means they have time. I won't try stopping someone that is bearing a heavy burden. They do not have time. They're already burdened by their burden.
Because I was imagining someone walking on the street and like, hey.
Yeah.
So I'm a writer. I create content for Untold Stories Uganda. Like, dude, I'm working. I'm going to office.
Yeah, but for instance, if it is someone selling maize, I'm going to go to them and buy some maize.
Right. Oh, that's a great conversation starter, by the way.
And then I'll ask them simple questions like, how is business?
Yeah.
Are you having any challenges?
Yeah.
And before they know it, I'm delving deeper and we're just talking like old friends.
And then is that when you get to pull out your device, like, hey?
And then I tell them what I do, and then I show them, and then I ask them if it's okay with them.
Yeah.
And when you're able to win someone's trust, they don't want to lose a new friend, so they'll say yes. And most times they do say yes.
Tell us about this pleasure. How did it start? How did you found it? Like,
how does it start?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy how I find myself running Untold Stories Uganda, or starting it, right? My mother is a Sunday school teacher on Sundays, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, which means that I was introduced to the Bible early, and the mode of teaching is focused on stories. That's the only way you're going to grasp the attention of kids.
Yeah.
Introduce them to stories.
Yeah, yeah.
And for me, the very first story Mama introduced me to was the story of Joseph. That's what I remember.
Joseph of the colored coat.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That Joseph was his brother sold.
Yeah.
So that is the story I remember. But Mama talks. Mama is a storyteller, unlike my old man. My old man is a bit reserved. I don't know how he was able to throw lines, but yeah, he is reserved. Yeah.
Well, if you want something, you want something. You do whatever it takes.
Yeah, I guess it must have been hard for him. The time I was having this, a conversation with her, and she was like, "You look at him on some days being tough here."
Yeah.
He was afraid of me the very first few days. I was like, yo, that's what we all go through.
Yeah.
Just can't help it. So
Yeah.
I think for Mama, when she's imparting lessons, she's going to make reference to stories. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
She's going to make reference to stories, and
so for every lesson that she's passing, there's a story behind it.
There's
really?
There's a story, and that's the conversation mode we have with Mama. They're just stories and gossiping. Which gossiping is, they're just stories about people, really.
Yeah.
That you whisper.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I've always loved stories, and Papa noticed this early, so he would buy me storybooks.
Oh yeah.
And he worked with an organization, so he had access to newspapers. He's a technical man, so he was running an organization's technical institute that offers vocational studies to persons from not well-to-do backgrounds. So he had access to newspapers, and he would have newspapers always. So I get roped into the whole culture of reading early, and it grows with me. I remember when I went to Gulu for my O-level, that's what I was doing. I would not go to class. I would chop class, I would dodge class, and spend my days in the library. The librarian liked me because I would help him clean and organize the library. I don't think
do their work.
Yeah, I don't think he paid so much attention to the fact that, well, this boy is always here. When does he go to class? I mean, he's helping you clean. That's his business. He doesn't want to go to class.
So you spend so much time in the library.
Now I would spend all my days, because we'll be just out of the dormitory.
Yeah.
And I'll just go and hang around the library, waiting for the librarian to come through. And then I would just go in and I would spend my days there.
And the rest of the school all the students are attending classes.
Life would go on. Well, the serious kids would be in class then. Serious kids would be out of school. But yeah. It was some sort of, school was free. We were not compelled to study. And there were no...
It was like a university of some kind?
It was like a university. There were no restrictions in place that were enforced to have us attend class.
Yeah.
Right? So I had this access to a whole range of literature. And for me, I think that was it for me. That is when I start writing.
How old is that? What age are you looking at, or class?
I must have been 13 in senior 1.
Senior 1?
Yeah, because I was in 13. I was in senior 1 of 13 when I started reading and writing a little bit seriously.
And what were you writing about at that time? Still, you would figure out, you would look around your surrounding and get to make stories, or was there a particular genre that you're...
Largely, it's poetry. It's poetry. It's the easy thing, right? You're writing.
Easy?
Yeah, it's. Well,
poetry is easy.
When you're growing up, you don't understand the complexity of poetry. So you just write in free verse. It comes easy, and you imagine if you're just writing lines, and that sound good. That's poetry. Yeah. So I've always been socially awkward, right?
Define social awkwardness.
For me, it's I'm terribly shy with people. I don't look into people's eyes.
Is that with strangers?
Not just strangers, even friends. I won't even look into my best friend's eyes. Like it's odd for me.
Why?
It's weird. I feel, you know, they say that the eyes are the window to the soul.
Right.
So I feel like I'm looking down into their soul and into their deeds, and
Okay.
when they look,
is it about you looking deep into their soul, or do you feel like someone is looking into you?
and just because I feel I'm looking into them and maybe judging them, I feel the same is happening for me.
Right.
And I do not want to give them that opportunity, right?
Oh.
So for me it was odd. I still struggle, but it's something I'm working on.
Right.
So I wanted to counter this, because then I was at uni when I decided to find a practical way of combating my shyness, and I'd been told that the only way you're going to work it out is by practicing, by speaking to people.
Yeah.
So I needed a space where I could reach out to strangers and speak to them.
Mm-hmm.
And the options were, you either try to sell them something and have them buy, or you reach out to them and initiate conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, the very first man I interviewed had been my football coach.
Yeah.
He was passionate about football, right? His name is Mutesasira. We used to call him Coach Mutesasira.
Yeah.
He was you call it Batembe. What are they called?
Batembe, hawkers.
Yeah, hawkers.
Oh yeah.
Itinerant traders, right? So that's what he did professionally to survive, right? But he was so passionate about football that he would dedicate the morning hours to that, to training kids, random kids, right?
Yeah.
So I meet him in Hoima and I tell him, well, how have you been? I posed to him a few questions, and he was a bit of a talker. and I spoke a bit of my poor Luganda, and he responded.
Yeah.
And that was my first story.
How did it feel like?
I think I felt accomplished having the story go up.
Oh, that was your
happy.
Very first interview for Untold
That
Stories
was my
Uganda.
very first interview for Untold Stories Uganda.
Was it Usu yet, or was it something just under your account?
It wasn't under my account. It was under USU still. It was under USU. Yes, that was the very first time it went up.
So before you actually interviewed this person, you already had Untold Stories Uganda established.
Yeah, I had Untold Stories Uganda established, and it is essentially an idea borrowed from Brandon.
Yeah.
It's the same concept.
Yeah.
Because for me, when I admire someone, I study them. I try to understand the motivations of the things they do.
Yeah.
The way of life, and thank God for the internet. I went down to YouTube and found interviews with him, and I learned a few lessons from him, how to approach people and how to speak to people. Yeah. So I thought, well, he's doing an amazing job. He's reaching so many people. He's preaching compassion. He's helping us reflect, and I started sharing the stories on social media. There's vulnerable stories. There's stories of vulnerability. These candid conversations, and
like that guy that you put up must have been last Sunday. The one who is into the sale of
cannabis. Yes.
I felt sad. I was like, oh. Yeah. But at least he has come to a realization of that he has to do better.
Yeah, he is on his healing
Those stories
journey.
are powerful.
Yeah, I would love to think so. Some people's experiences are really powerful.
Yeah.
And for me, I find delight in sharing these experiences with my followers. Yeah. So for me, Untold Stories is a place of compassion. It's a place of healing, a place of reflection.
Yeah.
For me, that is what it is for me. I do have an amazing...
I think it's the same for the followers.
Yeah, I do have an amazing community of followers who seem to understand what we stand for, and I feel obligated to protect my subjects. Yeah. So if I do share someone's story and say maybe they were teenage mothers and someone comes to judge them, I have to protect my story subject, because ours is a safe space. We don't want online bullies. And I'm going to delete the comment because it's not positive. We're all in here for positivity. We want to offer support. We want to offer a shoulder to these people. We want to remind them that we understand you. We listen to your struggles.
We see you.
We see you. We hear you. We believe you. Yes, and for me, that is it for me.
So we see you talking about how you started, how you were opened up to reading, the culture of reading, and then you started writing at the age of 13. Is that it?
Yes.
What was it like in that space? How was it like for you to come to a place of perfection? Okay, I don't know. Are you comfortable with me saying perfection? Okay, for me, yes. How did you come to a place of perfection? This is me saying that you're perfect. Because there's a way how you tell the story in a short format, but it goes so far. Like, the communication is deep with it. You don't have to go as far as, how many words? 500 words.
No, my word limit is 450 now. But then there are some stories that are going to be long, so you're going to try to break them into bits. So for me, I think it's a journey. It's a journey of getting better. And I don't think I'm perfect. I really struggle with
That's why I kept saying
the Queen's language, right?
That's mine.
I'm thinking I'm a Luo speaker.
Can
this
you
is
actually
a foreign tongue?
Can you actually get those stories in Luo?
Yeah, I do speak Luo, so I'm able to get stories, because the people you reach out to, not all of them speak English. So some of them speak Luganda, some of them speak Runyoro. Sometimes you need is it interpreter? You need an interpreter to relay back what the subject is saying to you. So, and then you go down. I record the stories on my phone.
Or you get the audios.
I get the audios.
That's better, because it's going to ask you, so how do you go about it?
And then when I come back home, I listen in, right? I listen in again and again and again. So because the goal here is to relay someone's real story. You don't want to distort facts. You don't want to. And when I'm not certain, I call them, because I take their contacts, right?
Yeah.
So back to your question on writing, I think it's a journey. You just keep trying, and when I look back at some of the stories, I realized there were so many mistakes.
Oh yeah.
The old stories, there were so many mistakes.
Like what kinds of mistakes?
Grammar. Oh my God, my grammar.
Oh, that.
Yeah, my grammar was bad, so it still is. Yeah, but I'm getting better. I'm getting better. So when you're starting out, you have the freedom to mess about. People won't judge you, because there's that freedom that you.
They do actually.
Well, maybe quietly, and
quietly.
Yeah.
Well, social media.
And no, initially I was writing it for me, and
that was for you.
And the kids that would see my work are kids who would spend their days in the computer labs or the chemistry labs. They won't understand poetry.
They will not
see the mistakes.
You're talking as far as the age of 13.
The age of 13.
I thought you were going as far as the start of USU.
No. Well, from the start of USU, I had I'd been writing before. I'd done a few writing jobs with news portals focused.
Oh, you had done that already?
Yeah, I had a small job with an online news portal, so that focused on university, and some of the stories that I'd done were stories focused on differently abled students. Yeah. And I'd interviewed them and listened to their stories and shared their stories. So I had a bit of experience, and I'd worked with editors, so it wasn't really hard for me. It wasn't hard. And I'd been writing online largely idle ramblings on Facebook, especially. Yeah. So it wasn't really difficult. It was easy to just slide in and wear the boots and kick the ball and just score a few goals, a few writing goals.
Oha, what plans do you have for? I keep calling it Usu. Okay, I've been doing that personally, and then
another friend calls it Usu too. And the first time I heard, I was like, "Ooh, I think this is a girl thing." They know how to work things out, because the entire time it was USU, and that's a mouthful. When someone says Usu, I'm like, what is Usu again?
I noticed when I was starting in the conversation, I was calling it Usu. You were insistent on USU.
Yeah,
I was like, okay.
Because I'm used to that.
Okay.
I'm used to that. It's like being used to abuse. It becomes normal.
So what plans do you have for USU?
The plans I have for USU, because that's because it's nicer that way.
Is it?
Yeah, I want to reduce the stories and
you want to
reduce the stories into book form, and not just an e-book, but a physical book. And
do you trust e-books?
I do trust e-books, but then I think they do not fulfill the goal of having more people access the work, right? Because if the work is shared on the internet, you are excluding a number of people.
Yeah.
But then when you reduce the stories into a physical book, a book can be shared by up to 10 people, right? People don't have access to a phone or a laptop, and they are not able to access the internet. And so for me, that is the bigger goal. I hope to form partnerships with organizations, and when sometimes the stories of the people you profile are stories of vulnerable people, and they don't have access to the internet. And if you have physical books, then they may be able to read their stories and see the impact of their stories.
That sounds like you're going to be looking for these people and giving them copies.
Yes, the people that Future will definitely, if I'm able to raise the funds, that is, they'll be entitled to copies of the books. Yeah, but it's not a promise, obviously.
I know.
It's not a promise. But if we do get bigger, grow bigger, why not? Why not?
Right. So for someone who is interested in associating, is the word associating, or find the stories that you publish, where would they find you?
Oh, the stories are they're online. They're on Facebook. We do have a small page, Untold Stories Uganda.
Why are you calling it small? Snap out of that imposter syndrome.
Well,
Snap out of it.
Yeah, I just.
So where do we find the stories?
It's something I need to fight. The stories are on Facebook, on Untold Stories Uganda. We do have a page on Facebook, and people can follow us and like the page and access the stories. We share stories every week. We hope to share stories 3 times a week moving forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I hope you guys have had Untold Stories Uganda. Is it only on Facebook that I get to find you? No Instagram?
We do have an Instagram account, so we share a few stories on Instagram too. We're putting some money aside so we can have a home, a website, a digital space that belongs to us, and where people can find all the stories with ease. It's hard digging up stories from Facebook, stories from 2016. We've been working since 2016, so that's a long time. So if we could have our own space, it would be much easier to find stories from a particular area, or a particular nature of story.
That gives a sense of organization, actually.
Yeah, you need that order. You don't need the chaos that Facebook sometimes entails.
Yeah. All right. As an artist, I've talked about this with you, and that was, I think,
off air, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, off air. This is like 2019, I think. At the end of it. No. Which year are we in? This
2021.
is 2021.
Yeah.
So maybe 2020.
Yeah, it could have been 2020. Well, I do not remember. I've been for a while now. 5 years?
Yeah. But coming to a place of sharing information in as far as the creative industry is concerned, we went as far as sharing experiences of imposter syndrome. What has it been like for you on this journey?
I think it's a burden we all bear. We don't believe in ourselves. Even when people tell us that they think we're doing amazing work, you doubt it. I think it's still, at my very core, it still bites.
I
only say it considering myself a writer this year.
You only started this year?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Initially, I was hesitant calling myself.
That's a very long time ago since you started writing.
I've been writing for a while.
Yeah.
And yet there was hesitation. I wouldn't describe myself as a writer.
Why is it that you didn't believe in yourself?
I didn't believe in myself. I thought writers are these people whose articles appear in newspapers, or who have published works in a physical form. Yeah. And then I realized, like, come on, Herbert, you have published work on Facebook.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of the internet. It permits you, it gives you the freedom to self-publish.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Yes.
Right.
So
right.
It's like, well, we have something we can refer to. So, come on, Oha, you're a writer now. So it is a tag I will confidently carry with me.
Yeah, I've been following a couple of conversations on imposter syndrome, and I've learned that it doesn't go away. It grows with you. The higher you go, it just keeps going with you. But I think we sort of have this imagination that I think if I beat this level, I'll be confident at this level. Yeah. But there are different struggles for every level.
Well, I guess that's another way of looking at it. When you make a few progressive steps, now you ask yourself if you deserve to be where it is you are. So that bites too. And that is why I was hesitant having interviews, because I thought, come on, what is there to speak about your work? There's nothing. So I'll just say no to them.
And then
this year, I was convinced by a few friends, and I agreed to an interview. And then you tried convincing me, and I was elusive. And then partly because of that, I didn't feel
I understood.
I didn't feel enough. I didn't feel like I could speak, or there was anything worthwhile to talk about.
So with all, like, but it sort of confuses me as well. With all that you have done, you still don't see value to it?
Well, the self-doubt rises and lingers, and sometimes you're just trying to find validation in the people who care about you. A while ago, someone close to me asked me to what end was I willing to go with Untold Stories.
Yeah.
And I didn't have an answer, and for me that was problematic.
Right.
I felt like they had held a knife and pushed it into my vulnerability, and now suddenly I was thinking, is this worth it? Am I good enough? Am I producing good content? Is this important? Are these conversations important? Do I have to share them? Am I wasting time? Because the questions come.
Those questions are really killing at someone's confidence.
Yeah, the questions come, but then the beauty with the world is that you get to experience positive emotions and negative emotions, and every time a friend or a total stranger comes into your inbox and tells you that they're happy with what you're doing, or comes to the Untold Stories Uganda inbox and they don't know the person behind Untold Stories, and they reassure you about their pride in the work that you're doing, I think that reinforces belief in your work, and that pushes you. And I think that's what gets some of us out of bed, the fact that we're finding validation from strangers. But of course there's a danger in that, right? Sometimes you share a story and someone is poking holes in the story, and the questions come again. So it's the imposter syndrome never leaves, man. It's a little demon. It's like the devil, man.
It is.
It's like the devil.
It's a major hater.
It just lurks around the corner waiting for you, and the moment you've made a bit of progress, it returns and reminds you.
Are you sure?
You're a country boy. What is it? Oh, you're not worth it. You're a simple country boy.
Yeah. Do you actually feel like society has crammed what do I call it? A particular way they want things to flow, especially with the question that that person came with. Where do you see USU going? To what end are you,
I think society...
Because you like, I think we should just learn to let things flow. I don't know.
I think society, family believes in finished products. That's what it wants.
What is a finished product?
So they imagine you're just going to come onto the scene perfect, right? They don't believe that you go through a process, you go through a journey, and there are trials and travails and tribulations of your creative journey. They expect you to be all perfect. They have a limited appreciation of the creative space, so they do not seem to understand that it's a continuous progressive journey for us, and we just keep trying and trying to
unraveling.
Get better. We essentially are onions, various layers. We just keep peeling back the layers and getting better.
And for someone who intends to join the creative space, what advice do you have for them?
What advice would I give such people? I think they don't have to come into the creative space for the money, because if that is your motivation, then you're going to be sourly disappointed. You're going to be sourly disappointed, because the money may come, but you come after a while, after you establish yourself and after society appreciates your craft. The initial stages are difficult, and if you are abandoning your 8-to-5 job to focus on your singing career, you're going to end up on the streets. So work on your professional.
Isn't that discouraging?
No, I'm just being honest here. I'm just being authentic here.
Okay.
You just need to brace yourself for the rainy days. Brace yourself for the difficult days, and don't hold expectation. Just put in the work.
Right.
Put in the work, and then at the end of it all, that may be your flowers may blossom, or they may die, and that's okay. So just find delight in the process. Don't look at the product. Just focus on the process. Enjoy the process. If it works out, you'll have made it. If it doesn't work out, you'll have enjoyed the journey.
You'll have tried.
You'll have tried. You'll find satisfaction in trying.
Right. So for the very, very last question, the commonly asked question, how do you take care of your mental health? I believe being in a creative industry and someone's mental health, these are things that move together. Okay, for everyone actually, everyone has to check with it. But for someone in the creative space, I think
these are struggles we all face. We do have these difficult days and days of self-doubt and days and dark days, right?
Yeah.
There's a time, I must have been 2017, when we run a series of stories on child cancer patients at Uganda Cancer Institute. And because the focus of our stories is on the struggles of people, it gets to you. And I think for me, it got to me because there was this avalanche of sadness that was hitting me, and I wasn't working on the positive side. I was working on really sad stories, and I really struggled. It hit me so hard that I took the entire 2018 off.
Really?
Yes, I just needed to breathe.
How many stories had you covered?
I did about 10 stories. And
it's a lot of absorption.
Yeah, and it was difficult because you interview a child, and when you return after a week or two, there are no more, and that is difficult. It's difficult to comprehend. It's difficult to appreciate. It's difficult to. For me, it got to me. And I needed that break. I needed that break. And sometimes there is just so much pressure to produce. There is just so much pressure.
The
to
community
have
is
a
always
perfect
asking.
Story,
yeah.
And sometimes the community slides into your inbox and they want stories. But it's hard because I just can't focus on getting stories. I need to equally focus on finding bread and pleasing my landlord, or he'll ask me to leave his house, right?
Right.
Or he'll ask me to leave his house. But it's a supportive community too, and I think it's in line with if you looked at our logo, there's an elephant in the middle of our logo.
Is there a meaning to it? A special meaning to it?
There is. I was when I first shared it with a friend, they told me it looked like a travel and tour company logo, and I was, oh, you think the same? And then I told them, no, the elephant it's a selfish logo for me. The elephant is my spirit animal.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why.
Do tell.
I love animals, right? And one of the unique features of the elephant is that elephants mourn when a herd of elephant encounters bones of an elephant. They are going to stop and hold these bones tenderly and mourn.
Really?
Yes, it is that odd. It is that powerful, and that is what is compassionate about elephants. And the mother elephant, right? When the dry season hits hard, it regurgitates water out of its stomach, and pours it on its calf to help the calf overcome the heat and humid environment. Really? Yes. So the goal was to create and have a community of compassion. And I think the elephant is a perfect symbol of compassion. It's different from other animals. You don't see other animals processing grief that way, but elephants do. And it's the largest land mammal, and I always told myself I want the stories to have that impact, a far-reaching impact, a huge impact, and that is why we have an elephant instead of a squirrel. That's why.
Why have you even pulled up a squirrel? So it actually has two sides of the story. It has the compassion bit and the impact.
The impact of the stories.
That's interesting.
It's the largest.
I'm going to look at the logo again and I see if I'll see it differently.
Yeah, you look at.
I'll try. I'll try. I might not really see it since I don't really know much about animals.
Yeah, you'll just pay attention. It's a tiny elephant head. In the middle of the logo.
Right. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Giving us your time.
Thank you so much for having me. You don't allow guests to throw shout-outs? I would love that.
To Mira. To Mira.
Yeah, so man, there are just so many, man. So I just said to my friends, really, to my crazy friends and the people that continuously support and buy our pins and buy our shirts and share our stories and read our stories. People that reach out and show support in one way or the other, I really appreciate them. Yeah, I do. Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the work you're doing.
Thank you too for your support.
With Nabuguzi.
Thank you too for your support. My takeaway from this episode is that we have to brace ourselves for the rainy days. With this kind of preparedness, I'm sure one can weather any kind of storm that comes their way. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Hashtag with Nabuguzi Kiwanuka. If you loved what you heard, make sure you subscribe to Hashtag with Nabuguzi Kiwanuka in your podcast platform of choice and share it with your friends. They need the virtual space. Let them know that they do. Let's create a tribe that is going to regenerate our generation. Also, feel free to share your insights about what connected with you on social media and be sure to tag us. We are at Hashtag with Nabuguzi Kiwanuka on Facebook and Instagram, and on Twitter we are at HTNK Podcast. HTNK in caps and podcast in small case, but it's all one word. Also, you can feel free to reach us on our email, that is htkpodcast@gmail.com. Your reviews are welcome. I really look forward to hearing from you, and until the next episode, catch you next month. Until next month, be sure to brace yourself for the rainy days.